Hi there, Libra. Welcome to your June 2022 General Tarot reading. It's Renee here. Boy, I think I got tan today because of the sun, which was very nice. I mean, I took a bike ride. I wasn't like sitting out in the sun. I don't have to sit out in the sun. I get tan like crazy. Oh, what do we got here? We got a lot of stuff happening here. Oh, God. All this major arcana activity here. Okay. All right. A little bit of liveliness. Okay. The heart of the matter is the Tower card, and so the first thing that came into my mind is the fallout from the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. For Libra, this is the second house of earned income, so there might be some kind of connection to your finances. I mean, I'm just looking at it astrologically. That doesn't mean that that would be the case. With these readings, I try to keep it more open-ended so that it works for more people, but I like to tie in the astrology of what's happening at the time, to it, to see what it could be. And even this past position card that represents what you're coming into this current period with. It's a Nine of Pentacles. This is a card of financial independence. And so it is connected to finances, the past position card. So because of that eclipse being in a money sector, it makes me wonder if that has some kind of connection. The Tower is about release. So it can be, it's not to say that everybody who has a lunar eclipse in the second house is going to just like lose all their money. By the way, this has already happened. The eclipse was May 16th, but that's why I said the after effects, because sometimes people don't feel it on that exact date. It can be before or after sometimes. And honestly, sometimes I have had eclipses that I didn't feel a damn thing, seriously. So, astrologers make a big hay about eclipses, but I can't tell you that you're going to even feel anything about this in that area or in any area. But in case this is a theme for you, that this has been, and this will be something that is going to be affecting you throughout 2022. There's going to be another eclipse here in October, a solar eclipse. So also when there's a lunar eclipse, the sun is opposing it. So the sun is coming from that 8th house, which is other people's money. That's why I say this Nine of Pentacles is really that idea of the person who is their own steward of money. They don't have that sense of needing another person. Like there's not that dependency. So something can happen that jolts you regarding that for some reason. We look at the higher message card and we get the Seven of Swords. This is a very sketched out person. So I don't know who this person could be. Now, if this had to do with, what came to my mind is even somebody who is coupled, like your partner's money, even though this is falling in your second house, the 8th house is shared resources. Now that's where the sun is at. So it's almost like, I wonder if some of you have found out that somebody has been, I don't know, like embezzlement, embezzling money. And somehow they were able to do something that could have caused a loss on your end. I don't feel that this is a future event. I feel like this is mainly trying to figure out how this all happened. So it's a very interesting question. The Seven of, even though I haven't seen this, I would say too that the Seven of, because it can be a theft, the Seven of Swords, and even like someone like intellectual property. I think that as well. And I haven't seen that. I've just seen like, okay, somebody's stealing from you. Okay, but swords relate to thoughts. That's why they're connected to air signs like Libra and Aquarius and Gemini. And this person is acting very suspiciously. I mean, they're trying to like slink away. And that, so that could even be like a coworker to me, somebody like that. And but I also I go back to that Nine of Pentacles, and what does that represent? That someone had kind of like their finances were self-contained. They did not have to rely on others for their well-being, for their sustenance, but on a material level well-being. And it's like something has kind of shaken them to the core. So it might be one of those readings where this is specifically targeted to just a few of you. I don't know. I actually had that for another sign, and I'm like, I don't think a lot of people are going to necessarily resonate with that unless there's some other issue with you in your life that feels very like similar to that may not be what I'm saying specifically. Oh, you know what it could be? If this is like relationship related, if you have been involved with somebody who maybe you were the one, and you could be a woman with a man, and you made more money than he did, and it's like that person was, they were their focus was the money, and this may be something that you have found out, and it has kind of been quite a revelation and maybe a shock to your system that this person was phony all along, and that they were doing that they were, I'm just trying to show like his facial expression, that they were doing that to you. So somebody who was getting involved with you, knowing that you had these material resources, and really just a user. Now I know I'm sure it's funny. I don't know if a lot of you realize this, but even though YouTube doesn't show the downvotes, the person who owns the channel can still see, downvotes. So keep that in mind. Now that might encourage you, if you don't like what I'm saying. But I'm just telling you, I'm like half laughing, anticipating what might happen. Because I wouldn't blame anybody for being offended by that. But, it is what it is. Sometimes, a Libra person might be generous. Maybe you're looking for a relationship and you're not being discerning enough. And that other person is not on the up and up, What crosses you is the Devil card. And I think that this is kind of at the heart of the matter. As you can see by the naked people, and they're chained together, this is a card of lust. Now, this can be a card of greed. It's also connected to Capricorn, by the way. So I don't know if this person is a Capricorn. But in any case, it can be the moral of the story, that there was some reason why it didn't strike you as strange that this person, their behavior and how it was. And I normally I wouldn't say this. I wonder if there's a yeah, I don't really know if many of you would agree with me, but because I'm talking about like Earth, I was talking about Earth signs the other day, and I was saying that sometimes I feel like this can happen to Earth signs, especially Taurus, because they tend to think of, especially somebody with Venus in Taurus, they tend to think of, you know, love as another commodity. And I mean that kind of, I don't mean that really intensely, but to some degree. And it's like, hey, you got to pay the piper. If you're going to be in a relationship, you have to, buy nice gifts, and you have to make a decent living. All these things are very materialistic, and that the devil card. So in other words, what I'm saying is, I think people are more vulnerable to financial exploitation if they're kind of materialistic, because they may just think that that's a normal way to be. And really, when somebody is materialistic, that's actually a red flag. I'm not saying that somebody's materialistic because they want to have some basic things that we might consider nice things to have. That doesn't make somebody materialistic. It's when that seems to be all that they talk about, what they have, what they're going to buy, what they're going to, they're just like not spiritual. They're not interested in things other than the material or the sexual side of life, the person, or sensuality. If they're just living for the senses, they just want to go to the next wonderful restaurant or the next vacation, and they're just like all about indulgence, and they don't have like another side to them, then they're going to tend to be, and if they're not very financially well off, then what are they going to do? If they have those desires, they're going to try to find it through somebody else. And this can be either gender. It's funny when I say either gender these days, I feel like I'm just like the biggest bigot on the planet. So, yeah, it's just like a very interesting thing. So something is surprising you, but by the same token, you may have to have an attitude adjustment so that you can fully appreciate what your part is in this whole dance. What is coming in is the Temperance card. This is a card of the balance of the spiritual and the material. This is actually connected to Sagittarius. And there is going to be, as far as a timing card, if this is related to timing, for Libra, there is going to be a full moon at 23 degrees of Sag on the 14th of June. And this is going to be in your third house of communication and thoughts, the mind. So you may have a download or an aha moment that connects to whatever this issue is, but also about how maybe you need to be more like that. The Tower, maybe there was some kind of a thing where you were self-supporting, you were very like in your own world in that sense, and then something happened that made you realize that you can't count on outer things, you can only count on yourself. But by the same token, you may have to anything that is material is subject to, it isn't, is part of impermanence. And even today, there are people who think, oh, I have all this money in the bank. You have no idea, especially nowadays. You have no idea. I don't care if FDIC or whatever, you have no idea that money is going to be guaranteed to you. And you can't live that way, because the tower is like, I feel like we're going to have tower moment after tower moment in the upcoming months. And I hope, I was going to say I hope not, because I don't want that kind of upheaval. But, things are pointing to this complete, dissolving of what we thought was so, solid. And with the Temperance card, yeah, of course, you can't just be spiritual and then not have that groundedness, because then you might make foolish decisions. You're not. We are living in a material world right now. That is the truth, and we have to operate here. But by the same token, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, are we not? That's what I think. And so the Devil card is the person who's earthbound. And then the Outcome card is the Two of Wands. This may be even relocation, but it could be a change of direction. Career matters. So maybe you have been in a field that is volatile right now, like a type of career that you can, one day you could feel like you thought you were financially set and financially independent. There's another term for that. I don't know if financially independent is what I'm talking about, but something in that field. And then something happens. It's basically that there are no guarantees in life and so investing in something material. So that's what, the Devil is connected to Saturn. And you can see that Saturn and Satan are very similar. And, it's funny because in Vedic astrology, they don't seem to have a very high opinion of Saturn. They call him a malefic planet. But there are some great things about Saturn that have to do with learning to be disciplined and organized in life. And, being willing to work for something and not just to have expectations it's going to drop in your lap. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And yet, because it's connected to the earth, because Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn in particular, it can, it co-rules Aquarius, but is really associated with Capricorn. That earthbound quality is what can keep people trapped, so that they're not, expanding. That they're just kind of like, they might be doing very well financially, but they're not really exploring new areas outside of their comfort zone. And sometimes it takes these events, and that's why the eclipses are occurring in the first place, because they jolt us out of this inertia, or this kind of like these ruts that we can get in, that we're not embracing change enough. And so when I look at this card and I see that the person's holding a globe, it really does speak to expansion and exploration of something more than what you have experienced. And with the Knight of Pentacles, there's nothing wrong with affluence or comfort and having, abundance at all. but it can easily degenerate into like kind of this grasping quality. And if you're dealing with someone who is like that, you deserve better. And you can make that happen. Maybe you're at a crossroads, Libra. You are going to have eclipses in your sign starting in 2023. So be prepared for change in your life because it's coming, baby. Okay, that's what I have for you, Libra. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.